Now, WBOC News at 4, Delmarva's news leader.
Wind, rain, snow, all pounding Delmarva in the fourth nor'easter of the season. Dover getting hit particularly hard today, with Kent County issuing a level 1 driving warning. And good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jacqueline Carley.
And I'm Todd Carley. The northern part of the peninsula has seen the most snow to this point, and it started early this morning. And that's where WBOC's Kent County Bureau Chief Tom Lehman joins us now live from this afternoon. Tom, some people are worried about the snow getting packed in.
Todd, the big problem with this snow is that it keeps coming down, and it's wet, it's heavy, and it is slushy. Take a look at State Street here in Dover. As you can see, we actually just had a plow truck come through here, but the snow is still there on the ground. It is building up, and it is causing some issues with the roadways. To demonstrate what we're talking about, I'm going to use this shovel. Take a look at that. That's probably about a couple inches of snow right there, but it is wet, it is heavy, and it is causing a lot of problems if you're trying to walk around or drive. Definitely causing some snowpack issues. Now, earlier today, a lot of state office workers were let out early, and they were heading out to their cars. They were having to clean them off. That was a pretty common sight around the area earlier today. And we talked with one woman who just moved here from Nevada, and she told us she is not a fan of this snow.
So I'm going like 10 miles under the speed limit. Sorry for everyone that has to drive behind me, but yeah, this is my first time driving in snow, so I'm going to be very, very cautious.
And being cautious is obviously one thing you want to be doing if you are out on the roadways right now. Again, taking a quick look at State Street, you can see cars are getting through here, but the roads are very slushy, not exactly clear. Definitely take your time if you are out here on the roads. Reporting live in Kent County, Tom Lehman, WBOC News, Dover.
Now, this is how things are looking in Rehoboth Beach right now from our Boardwalk Plaza hotel camera. Not really a lot of snow out there, just high winds and some really big waves.
Dan's now in the Storm Tracker Weather Center with an update on what people are seeing all around the peninsula. Dan?
Yeah, what a difference just a few miles can make right now. The rain-snow line is setting up around the Salisbury area, and the heavy snow line right now is extending from around Easton to Dover. North of that, it is really pouring snow. We're over 3 inches of snow on the ground in Dover and almost zero visibility crossing the Bay Bridge right now. It's really coming down. Still some moderate flooding expected, but that's the next tide is going to be a lot lower. Here is an updated look at the snowfall totals. Still expecting 4 to 8 inches between Easton and Dover and north. Most of Sussex County around 2 or 3. Some spots could be closer to 4 in the northern end of the county. Wacomico County generally an inch or 2, maybe 3 right up in the extreme northwest Wacomico County, and mainly just a little snow on the grass south of there. It's going to be a very, very sharp cutoff. Temperatures are above freezing or at freezing in most areas. Dover is now down to 32, 34 in Easton. Newark getting heavy snow there at 33 degrees. You can see that storm now as we go through the evening. The colder air will continue to come on down, and we'll eventually see it change over to snow. But there's no doubt about it. The heavy snow with this event is going to be about the northern 1/3 of Delmarva, and they're going to get a very heavy, wet snow. Tomorrow, skies will clear. It'll be windy, but temperatures way below normal, only in the low 40s around here. That wind will make it feel colder than that. We'll have more on the weather here in just a few minutes.
All right, Dan, thanks. While snow has been a concern throughout Delmarva, in Sussex County, high tides and potential flooding has emergency responders on high alert today.
And WBOC Sussex County Bureau Chief Madeline Overturf joins us now live in Lewis. And Maddie, low-lying areas are already seeing some flooding.
Todd, Jackie, those concerns are because of high tides and heavy winds. And you can just see here firsthand how strong these winds are. And you just don't even really need to hear from me. You can see for yourself, see the waves that are coming in. This is strong, strong wind that's pushing water inland, and these low-lying areas are experiencing some flooding. We were around a number of towns in the eastern part of Sussex County today where we saw some water on some roadways. Here in Lewis and Milton, we had a park that was flooded, and down at the Indian River Inlet, water would just rush over the guardrails because just these winds and the tides again were so strong and high earlier today. Now, the major roadways have not been shut down yet due to flooding, but because there's a high tide overnight, the conditions could easily worsen.
So we still have another round of high tides to go through later on around midnight or so, and we're still concerned about those, and we're waiting to see the wind shift to more to the northwest, which will help push the water out.
Again, another concern here is obviously beach erosion, so much so that in Lewis, actually a little bit farther down south where we are right now, DNREC yesterday was putting sand outside a neighborhood because there was so much dune damage, and they were afraid that these strong winds and the waves coming in would damage that even more. But again, we're going to have to see what happens tonight before we can see how badly the beaches have been battered. Reporting live in Sussex County, I'm Madeline Overturf, WBOC News, Lewis.
All right, Maddie, thanks. You can really see the wind, and you can really see how rainy it is out there today. She's been getting soaked all day today.
They were wiping that lens, and 2 seconds later, it had water all over it anyway. All right, here's a look at the Indian River Inlet Bridge right now. Speaking of wind, look at the camera shaking right now. Some cars making it over the bridge with those slick roads. Really, be careful, very careful on the roads, and especially on bridges with the sleet and the rain and the snow. It's going to be a treacherous drive over the bridges. We're looking at that, and of course, the Bay Bridge as well, if you're heading east or west over the bay.
Probably the best advice is if you don't have to go out, just stay put.
Correct.
Better times are coming. Now, to get a closer look at the road conditions, let's go to Bill Mitch. He's cruising around Harrington right now. How's it looking there, Bill?
Jackie, we're in Harrington, as you just mentioned, and we drove up from Salisbury to Harrington, and Harrington's really the first place we were able to get to where we really started to see some snow accumulation. So let's take a peek outside the front of the car. As you can see, we're starting to see a little bit of slush on the ground. It started a little bit of accumulation over on the sidewalk, but as we approach this 25-mile-per-hour sign over on the right, you'll see that the snow is smashed to the front of that sign. So it's windy. The wind is really the thing that's really making it most cold out here. But this residential neighborhood, we're on West Street in Harrington. We wanted to get off the main roads and kind of see how this storm is impacting these residential areas. And it doesn't appear to be too bad at the moment, but as you see, that snow is still coming down. It's starting to accumulate a little bit on the roadway. So if you are heading out anytime soon, you might want to keep an eye on that as you start driving around. So we're going to keep an eye on some of these residential areas, try to check out other parts of Kent, maybe a little bit down into Sussex County. I am Bill live in Kent County, here in Harrington. Bill Mitch, WBOC News. Send it back to the studio.
All right, Bill, thanks for that. Stay safe. Now, let's check on conditions in Maryland. And we are joined on the phone by Charlie Gischler with the Maryland State Highway Administration. Mr. Gischler, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Now, you're asking people to stay off the roads today, correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, down in your neck of the woods, the pavement temperatures and the air temperatures, thankfully, are significantly above freezing. So it's more of a rain event down there, and if any snow that's coming down is immediately melting on the pavement. But the cautionary thing here is two things. Number one, it's not ideal conditions, which means slow your speeds down. But number two, tonight when the sun goes down and the pavement temperatures and air temperatures start to get below freezing, that's when we have to really be cognizant of any kind of refreeze. So anything out there that's left over on the pavement from this, then wet pavement, has the potential to refreeze. So that's what you want to watch for tonight. And yeah, if you can, overnight, curtail travel if at all possible.
While you're talking, we are looking at a picture of Highway 50, US 50, east of the Bay Bridge near Stevensville, and there is a lot of snow right there.
Absolutely. I was just looking before I came on the air with you here at some different cameras. The further west you go, you get up toward Cambridge and you're starting to get into some bands of snow, and then you get up toward the Bay Bridge and then points east of the Bay Bridge, or west of the Bay Bridge rather, you're going to start getting lots of snow bands. But again, up here, even though it's a little bit colder than it is down your way, it's still a little bit above that freezing point. So the material that falls on the ground, the ice and the snow, does melt, and it interacts very well with our salt operations. Are there any on the lower shore spots that are particularly worse than ever or than others right now? As you start getting up to Cambridge is where that rain-snow line really is. So the further west you go, out, in your viewing area, that's when you're going to start to see some isolated coverage on some of the shoulders and between the lanes. But I think what you guys are going to have to worry about is, in the whole state rather, because this storm is like a huge low, is that wind factor. Remember a couple of weeks ago we had some significant winds. So what we're going to start seeing, unfortunately, are trees coming down. Some that have the snow on them still. When that wind starts to really wrap around this storm, that's what we're going to have to really watch for. And a cautionary note to motorists is if you approach an intersection that is without power, you have to treat it as a four-way stop sign. So keep that in mind if you do come across a trouble spot in the next day or two.
All right, good reminder. Charlie Gischler, thank you for joining us with the Maryland State Highway Administration.
Absolutely. Be safe.
Will do. To Talbot County now. Here's a live look into St. Michael's from our Sherwood camera.
As you can see, snow is blanketing the docks there. Kind of pretty out there right now. Looks like the flags whipping around. Well, let me say, Todd, I'm just glad we're nice and warm inside. the Newsplex.
We certainly are. And Bill Mitch had the best job outside.
Yes,
He's riding around in our new Jeep.
And now taking a live look from our Spicer Brothers construction camera at Salisbury University. I guess we don't have that right now, but actually it's pretty good in Salisbury right now. It was snowing just a little bit ago, and now it kind of lightened up again. Dan Satterfield says it's going to stay like this, though, for the majority of the night. He will be talking about those winds when we return.
We do have the winds, all right. And how people in western Sussex County spent their snow day today. All that's coming up next here on the news at 4.
And WBOC's Bill Mitch is out driving around in Sussex County right now, keeping an eye on the roads. How's it looking now, Bill?
Still here in Harrington, as you mentioned, right now we are on Dorman Street. Like you said before, we wanted to get off the main road, see how this storm was kind of treating the residential areas. Let's take a peek outside. Like I said, Dorman Street, we can finally really see the snow start to accumulate. Covered much of the sidewalks, at least on the right-hand side of the road here in Harrington. We're starting to see more on the left, more and more as we go out throughout the town of Harrington right now. We're seeing more snow on the cars, more cars taking it slow as they're driving through the streets. We've seen a couple of plows coming up and down the streets here in Harrington, but they're not really plowing anything just yet because the snow is really only beginning. So what we're going to do now is we're going to stay here in Harrington for the next couple of minutes or two, but we want to find other places where the snow is. We might head down a little further south to Farmington, Greenwood, check out those areas to see how much snow they're getting as well. We are live in Harrington. I'm Bill Mitch for WBOC News. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Bill. And Dan's here now with another check. And can we still expect this to keep coming our way, or is it leveling off where it's going to stay?
No, well, it's close. The heavy stuff is where it's going to be, but I still think we are going to end up seeing a burst of snow across parts of Wacomico and southern Sussex County, where right now the ground is just brown. And it is possible 1 to 3 inches of snow may fall, probably closer to an inch or 2, but we're still going to have to watch this thing. I can tell you, though, our forecast of 4 to 8 is almost already verified from Easton to Dover. We just got a report up in Newark of 6 inches of snow there. And my daughter just sent me a picture to confirm it. So I can tell you it's going to be a snowy night. But the farther south you are, the lower the snow amounts. So it'll be a fairly sharp cutoff here.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Dan. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can get it now on WBOC.com.
We'll see you back for the news at 5 on Fox 21 to update all of this for you. Coming up right here on WBOC is Jeopardy!